fúnra rẹ̀ ó ti collapse. Mo kí brother mi Silver Badmus, kí lẹ fẹ́ rójú mi fún? Ẹ ní láti rójú, dandan kọ́ ní gbogbo wa lè máa rójú. Ṣèbẹ́yìn náà níná Nàìjíríà, ṣèbẹ́yìn tó bá níná ló máa wọ́jú èèyàn. Ẹ ní láti rójú mi, sí nǹkan tẹ́ fẹ́ fojú mi ṣe. Èyí tí mò ń sọ lẹ́fẹ̀ẹ́ ṣèbí púpọ̀ nínú iná ẹ̀ níná nínú Nàìjíríà, so èèyàn kankan ní láti rójú mi. Nígbà tí mò ń kígbe pé ẹja kúrò ní Nàìjíríà, kò ní bàjẹ́ fún Silver Badmus, ó ṣe dandan ní kẹ́ rójú mi. Èmi náà níná nínú ilé mi, èmi náà sanwó ná, bẹ́ẹ̀ni bá sanwó ná ló máa níná, so àbí kí èèyàn tó sanwó ná kankan máa fún yàn níná, òun lọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà. So mo kí gbogbo èèyàn wa o, ẹ̀yin ẹ̀yin ti gbà fún Ọlọ́run pé àfikún Ọlọ́run kó yọ wá, kó kó wa kúrò nínú ìdààmú Jagaban, torí Jagaban ló lọ kó wa sínú more problem báyìí. Òun ló sọ pé èmi ló kàn, ó dẹ̀ ti kàn báyìí, wá ti fi tiẹ̀ ó fọ́ lórí burúkú tí ó fi kó bá gbogbo wa, látara kó má ronú pé ọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà kò ń ṣe tí yàn lè fix, but ìdààmú yẹn nísìn òun ló bá gbogbo wa báyìí, tọmọdé o tàgbàlagbà. Bọ̀kọ̀ wá ń ṣe gbogbo èèyàn náà ni ìyà máa jẹ. Problem tó máa ń wà nínú situation báyìí ni àwọn tí ìyà máa jẹ. Mo kí Mr. Ahmed Jamiu, ẹ bá mi gbá wọlé share button, ẹ pa àwọn èèyàn wọlé, ẹ tún ní kó wá gbọ́ wa. Ọ̀rọ̀ náà la máa sọ, ká bá máa ní action náà, àṣà àkọ́kọ́ ṣe máa sọ̀rọ̀. Nígbà tá a pariwo pé èmi ló kàn yìí, bàbá burúkú ni, torí tó bá ń ṣe bàbá burúkú, ó jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé kò kàn anybody lọ́wọ́ yìí ju pé kólúkálukú máa lọ. Àjọṣepọ̀ wa ti Nàìjíríà, wàhálà àti ìdààmú òun ló bá wa, but selfish interest èmi ló kàn, ó ti fi ṣe tiẹ̀, ó ti fi dáyọ̀ pọnyánrin sílẹ̀ nínú Nàìjíríà. Mo kí yín láti Togo, àlàáfíà lèmi náà wà. Báwo ni ọ̀dọ̀ yín lọ? Àdẹ̀kù ọjọ́ ajé, ṣùgbọ́n ní lọ́ máa ń pè lọ́jọ́ ajé, kọ́ ló ń jẹ́ ara ajé jẹun. Nígbà tá ní kí gbogbo wa ká sọwọ́ papọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọlúàbí, ká fi Tinubu sílẹ̀, kó má fi tiẹ̀, kó má fi kó bá wa. Gbogbo yín ní Jagaban ló lè ṣe on your mandate, pé Jagaban pé ó ní talent, ó ti ṣe Lagos rí, gbogbo Lagos náà la rí báyìí nísìn, kò sí nǹkan kan tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní Lagos State, irọ́ ló wà níbẹ̀. Ní àbádé Lagos ilé ní báyìí, kò sálàáfíà, kò sí ìwòsàn, kò sí hospital, nothing is working. Nàìjíríà ti wá di bóòlù ọ̀yà mi báyìí, ṣe lè bí ń pa everybody. Ìyà tó wà ní Nàìjíríà ó wá lé kàǹkà, everybody tó wá ń wojú Ọlọ́run. Ṣé wàá rò pé Ọlọ́run stupid ni? Ọlọ́run fún wa ní ọgbọ́n, fún wa lóye, ó fún wa ní gbogbo ohun tí a lè fi ṣe ilé ayé wa, fún wa ní resources, fún wa ní brain power, but torí ìjẹkújẹ àwọn olóṣèlú yín. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn ọba aládé, àwọn ọba tí wọ́n dúró tán pé kíran Yorùbá kó má bàa parẹ́, àwọn ọba tí wọ́n ń wo àná, tó ń wo èní, tó ń wo níbo gan ni ọ̀rọ̀ ilé ayé ọmọ Yorùbá fi tán sí báyìí. Torí bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ yìí, bàbá ṣèpẹ́ sí nínú Nàìjíríà, Ọlọ́run á yẹ kí wọ́n gbàgbé ọ̀ràn wa pátápátá. Mo kí gbogbo wa pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí live transmission mi, níbi tí èmi náà ti níná, torí mo sanwó ná, wọ́n fún mi níná, òun lọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká máa dúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run pé ó fi gbogbo wa, ó fi kẹ́ra wa. Àmọ́ kí ló wá fà tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tá bá ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation, ẹ máa takò kí ni nǹkan tẹ́ fẹ́ mú lára Nàìjíríà. Nigerian passport nísìn kò gbé yín wọ UK, bẹ́ẹ̀rẹ̀ British passport ó gbé ọmọ British wọ Nàìjíríà. Kí ló lè fà á? Ṣebí Britain sọ fún wa pé we are Commonwealth citizens. So kí ló wá fa a Commonwealth citizen tí kò lè wá sí England, kò lè lọ sí Wales, kò lè lọ sí Northern Ireland, and yet àwọn lè lọ, wọ́n lè wá sọ́dọ̀ wa without any kind of restriction. Ọmọ Nàìjíríà bá fẹ́ wá sí UK nísìn, wọ́n ní kó lọ mú gbá wá, kó lọ má wò wá, go and bring your bank statement. Kí ló dé tí ọmọ Britain tó ń bọ̀ ní Nàìjíríà wọ́n ní kó lọ mú bank statement ẹ̀ wá láti lè fi confirm bóyá ó ní owó lọ́wọ́, because wọ́n mọ̀ pé tẹ́ bá ti kúrò ní Nàìjíríà probability pé máa jápa ẹ̀ ní padà wá sílé mọ́, and it's because the economic situation of Nigeria. So many Nigerians today do not understand what is the full meaning of Nigeria. They are just trying to fix and die for what the British colony created. As I always say, if we do nothing now, we're gonna sink with Nigeria. But we don't want to be sinking with Nigeria. Moki brother Meganiu, Moki, I'm just resting as usual. Koikimedia bringing the world closer to your doorstep. But Kosi Baba Shiji, our concern and worried is about how our people continue to live in abject poverty and why this suffering continue after 60 years of a fraudulent amalgamation that now needs to be de-amalgamated. But for us to de-amalgamate Nigeria, we need to explain what Nigeria is all about to thousands and millions of Nigerians that have no clue what Nigeria is all about. We saw what played out in Abuja yesterday, where citizens that were having a march continue to be attacked. It's not the first time the Nigerian security continue to attack the Shiite, a country where we cannot live in harmony, a country where we cannot live in a peaceful way as citizens. And the reason is because we are not one, and we can never be one. Many different religions that lives in this part of the world are all given the privilege and the opportunity to live without being intimidated. But in Nigeria, the intimidation continue, and it is not going to end. So if any one of you think that Nigeria will allow you to prosper, you're wasting your bloody hell time. So good morning and welcome. Moki brother me Faith Urola, kò sẹ́ni kankan t'Ọlọ́run dá tó ní kí wá máa jìyà láyé kó tó kú. We are all born to live our fullest before we die. But the lie is that when you die, you will go to one heaven and you will not have to suffer anymore. I laugh in in the African way. They want you to die first before you go and enjoy. But why they want you to suffer while you are still on the earth? Does that add up? Does that make sense to you? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Let us rescue Yoruba today out of the shackles and the bondage of this madness that the British created for their own selfish, interest. Let us do what needs to be done to rescue Yoruba people. This is the time, and there's not much time to be wasted. Tinubu wants to slow us down so that we can be entrapped in this madness that was put together through a fraudulent amalgamation. Kí ni wọ́n ń pè ní 1914 amalgamation that we are now challenging. On the 1st of January 1914, Lord Frederick Lugard was the governor of both the Northern Nigerian Protectorate and the colony and the protectorate of the Southern Nigeria. A document was signed to join these two colony and protectorate of Nigeria. And do you know that it was after 46 years later, after this fraudulent fake amalgamation, how many of you know that it was after 46 years? Imagine a 46 years old man that was born in 1914 was not allowed to even witness his freedom because the British were still in control. But why were they in control? Because Nigeria was a trading partner for them, so that they can suck and take away everything. And in exchange, they gave us fake identity. They oppress, subjugate, in conjunction with some of our people anyway. And it was after 46 years that we eventually gained a fake independence. Many Nigerians doesn't even know that you are not independent because you are still under the subjugation of the colony. A colony that should never have happened in the first place. So let's read the Council on Foreign Relations about Lugard, after 110 years. Most of you, your grandparents, were born in the Yoruba Empire, or the Oyo Empire rather. But today, your argument is that since we have lived in the one fake union, we should preserve it, we should save it, we should make sure that this union doesn't collapse. But the question is, what has been the benefit of this union to you? What has been the benefit of this union to me? So, but what we can do now is to start challenging this amalgamation. Start asking questions. Why, Toshijekwe, we have to preserve something that we don't know anything about? Because when some of you want us to preserve Nigeria, the question is, why should we? Why should we go and preserve and save Nigeria? Why must we save Nigeria? Are we saving Nigeria because of our grandchildren? Because most of the people that have tried to save and preserve Nigeria, they've either died without Nigeria recognizing them, or Kwaraku died, Rashidi Yekini died. He saw a police officer asking for 25 million naira for a kidney, support. A country that doesn't have what it takes to be a country, yet the fake Nigerians, because I call you fake Nigerians, you want to use your own stupidity to lock all the rest of us that doesn't want to be one Nigeria. You will come and be telling us, no, Nigeria is not going to break up. We're going to save Nigeria. Did your father save Nigeria? Did your mother save Nigeria? Did your grandparents save Nigeria? Most of them died in a very nasty death because they could not be given the well-being. The last final burial was even as rubbish. Most of you, when your parent died, you have to consult your uncle in America to send money home for burial. You have to consult your aunt in Canada. You have to consult your friends in UK to donate towards your burial. Whereas in the UK, if anybody died, it is also the responsibility of the local government to support. So I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about that in a minute. But let's first, come back to this fake 1914 amalgamation. And I'm going to be reading from a particular blog. I'm not sure what's going on with my internet. It keeps fluctuating. This is put together by the Council Relations Foreign Relation. The Council Foreign Relation. This article was written in January 2nd. I can tell you, which is like a day after the fraudulent, amalgamation. This was in 2018. So you can tell that it's not, today, that they don't talk about Nigeria. It has always been going on and going on and going on. But many Nigerians don't even know what they are celebrating. Each time they tell you to go and celebrate amalgamation that Oyibo people created. The Oyibo people that created it now, their life are better as the holiday is winding down in the United Kingdom and across the other parts. Most of them have the privilege to travel with their British passport, the American passport, the Japanese passport. But you, where your head be like coconuts, where your head be like agbon that we dey talk to every day, your Nigerian passport cannot even take you to Rwanda, cannot take you to South Africa. It is as useless as tissue paper, even in as much as we are still holding some of the passport with us. But the value of I still have my Nigerian passport. But what is the value of a Nigerian passport that doesn't even allow you to apply for an American visa from the United Kingdom, and you're likely to be given that visa? Maybe some of you don't know that. Ask some of your friends that live in the UK that doesn't have a British passport yet. You would have to apply for visas to travel out of the UK. The only country you would travel to without a visa are probably Ghana, the West African countries, and that your zoological country called Nigeria. And then since most of them have their BRP, either as a student, I'm telling you about some of your friends, or all these your friends when they come Nigeria, they booger for you. Most of them don't get British passports. So what they do is, because they've got what they have to allow them the entry back to the UK, because either as a student, either for somebody that got married here, either for, and this also applies to some of you idiots that come and be telling us when we break, how are we going to do the people we marry other people from another ethnicity? What does that have to do with the breakup of Nigeria? Don't you know that many of your friends that come back home, we marry Oyibo, we marry person, we get British passport, but they never get their own British passport. As long as the UK government identify them through the immigration rules, and they have been given one document that permits them to travel into the country and to travel outside. That means that they can go with the Nigerian passport to come to Nigeria, but they will then return back to the UK with their BRP. And the BRP is changing by the end of this year. There will not be any more BRP card. Everything will be online, digitalized. For those of you that are living here, I'm sure you will get letter from the Home Office, as time permits. So even the person will get ordinary student visa, Oloshi, which they don't just give one student visa. You will come back Nigeria, the Buga, hey, I don't go London, hey, London. And when you tell that kind of person, say, may we break away from Nigeria, the stupid guy will come and be telling you, Mokia Tony ages, oh no, we will not break Nigeria. Do you know why? Because he can travel out of the UK and return back. But when he return back, he will go to school. He will be able to do 16 hours and maybe do some side yahoo, because they do yahoo as well. They are criminals, Nigerians, regardless of whether they are Igbos, Hausa, or Yoruba, or Bendelite, or Edo. Criminals. They live in the UK, they live abroad, commit all kind of fraudulent crime. But when they come back home with their stupidity, they will try to convince the average Nigerian that is a Yoruba man that don't listen to Koiki, don't listen to Koikimedia. Nigeria will be a great place. But tell him to come back and live with you in Nigeria. He will tell you, no, I can't live here now. I'm still hustling abroad. So Nigeria will never work. It was not designed to work. It was a business trading route for the British. And until we break that last empire, you, myself, we will all suffer from the consequences of what the Fulani that were never part of us, they came from the Senegal in the 18th century. They've now taken full control of Nigeria directly or indirectly. You can ask Ganduje, you can ask dead Boko Haram, and many of them that have joined hands to destroy the Hausas, kill them, take over their land. All the Seriki that you see around Nigeria, whether in the southwest, in the southeast, they are all part of the game. But most of us slept for too long because of the stupidity and the idiotic, politicians that love money so much and sold us all out to the Fulani oligarch. So let me read this article as we continue with this early hours broadcast at 5 minutes past 5 a.m. on a Monday, the 26th of August, 2024. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, known as the Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. This platform is an educational platform to prepare the Yorubas that really wants to go out of Nigeria. Your father could not fix Nigeria. You will not be able to fix Nigeria. We can all go and start the bricks by bricks and build our own new nation, not with this fraudulent, system that we have. And some of you that always ask the question, back by Yoruba country, is it not going to be the same Yoruba politician? Are you stupid? If you are not stupid, you should understand that Nigeria system will not work in a Yoruba system. That is why we want to live in the first place. But you cannot process things. We have to explain everything to you. How would you leave a country that is not working? You would then go into a country that you want to make work. And the politicians, who are the politicians? Are we not the one that gave them the opportunity presently in Nigeria? That is why we want to restrict their opportunity, so that a new constitution, a new way of life, a new system will be built. But processing. That's why we have to process everything for you. But when we are processing it, say, hey, no, come back home. Why do I need to come back home? A former ex-BBC editor that just returned back from London was kidnapped by the DSS at Muritala Mohammed Airport. You all know that some of us will come home and we will be whisked away. Nobody will find us and nobody will know where we are for a very long time. So nobody's coming home, okay? Idiot. So if you're looking for me to come back home, you will die inside Nigeria. Well, by the time I come back, Yoruba Nation will be coming up as well. So this was put together by Jack McLeeson. He's a research associate for Africa Policy. Oyibo people always come and research Africa for us, as if Africa cannot research anything. But since Babakitoye is the one talking before, stupid people cannot listen and process. He's a professor of history. But we like when we hear Oyibo name Jack McLean is a research associate. How can Jack McLean know better than Babakitoye? Babakitoye was born in that part of the world. He studied history. He's 89 years old. But for argument's sake, let's read what Jack is going to tell us in this article. Once again, share the program and like it. If you're new to this platform, it's called the Koikimedia. On January 1st, I'm not sure why this phone is, I might have to turn on my hotspot because we keep having a glitch too much on it. So let's turn the hotspot on. We're gonna have to turn the hotspot on because not sure why the internet is glitching all the time. I'm not gonna start the Twitter again. We lost my Twitter. So hopefully my hotspots, will be better. On the January 1st, 1914, Lord Frederick Lugard, the governor of both the Northern Nigerian Protectorate and the colony and the Protectorate of the Southern Nigeria, signed a document consolidating the two, thereby creating the colony and the Protectorate of Nigeria. 46 years later, in 1960, Nigeria became an independent state. Anniversaries are times for reflection, and given that today, just as at the time, because this article is 2018, just over 104 years after amalgamation, the country is still grappling with its national identity. Did you hear that? We cannot identify who we are, because if you keep saying you are one Nigeria, you are losing your own true identity, which is Yoruba, Hausa, Biafra, and many more, depending on who you think you are. And also, reanimated separatist movement. There's nothing called separatists. People that are fighting for self-determination should never be called separatists, okay? But these stupid Oyibo people, they put their own research based on what the West want them to put. It is worth reflecting how exactly Nigeria became Nigeria. Nigeria, she became Nigeria. You were just born and you don't want to know. And now that we are trying to tell you to know, your head will be like kokoro. Your head will be like a granite with water full inside. You refuse to know. So let's know how Nigeria became Nigeria. Before the Europeans arrived in the territory, did you hear that? Before Europeans came into our territory, that is now called Nigeria. When they say Europeans, some of you don't know the meaning of European. These are Oyibo people, Portuguese, the criminals that came in 15th century, the British that came in and took us as slaves, the Spanish, the French. Every one of them was scrambling for Africa. Go and watch that movie on the Netflix. It's called Scramble for Africa. And that was what also led to the, let me pull that up, what we call the 1884 Berlin Conference, a conference of white people, only white people and one Igbo, that took advantage and decided to slice Africa, because they were all fighting for Africa. They were killing themselves. Imagine people fighting for your own resources, your territory. And they decided that instead, where would they kill ourselves? Kill ourselves. Why not we all come together? There's no point killing ourselves for these people. We can share it, we can divide it, and everybody takes their own share. That is why Benin Republic, if you go there today, everything that they consume for that country is coming from France. You know why? Because that was what France got out of the Berlin Conference. When you look at Nigeria, Britain took Nigeria, took Ghana, and it goes on like that. You go to Congo, Belgium, those ones, they turn Congo to their second country. So the Berlin Conference that took place in 1884 for a whole year up to 1885, they met 15th of November 1884, and after an adjournment, imagine people, they make decision on our life. They no call us, so no black person was there, no African leaders was there, no royal king was there, no obas, no ballet, just old men, white people, decided to sit around the table, drinking, smoking, in 1884 in November. And that went on, but they couldn't conclude. You know why? Because they are criminals that is allowing us to suffer today. That is why you cannot get a German visa, you cannot get a Spanish visa, all these visa restriction. But when they came to Africa to steal from us, they did not need visa, they did not have to consult us for visa. They came and took and took and took, because it was a privilege for them to realize that a system of government was already working in Yoruba land. But because some of our kings then, they gave them glasses, mirrors, and they exchanged it for stupidity. And that is the reason why Tashin suffer leni. So one more Yoruba and Jeleni, don't blame yourself. You're suffering because some of our kings, during that era, sold us for peanuts. So they couldn't conclude their meeting during the Berlin Conference in 1884. So they came back again on the 26th of February to conclude, and they all have signature of what they called the General Act regulating European colonization and trade in Africa during the new imperialism period. But Oloshiamo Yoruba Lori Buruku to Nishoriri will be telling me, oh, why are you fighting for Yoruba nation? Let's save Nigeria. Your papa no own Nigeria. Your mama no own Nigeria. It was all imperialism. No, it's leadership problem. It's not going better for you. Which leadership problem? Oloshamale. Moki gbogbo àwọn Yorùbá gidi. Àwọn Yorùbá òtítọ́ tó ti wá rí àríṣà pé the West, when they say Europeans, these are English, Spanish, Portuguese, Italians, French, Belgium, Holland, every one of them that are under European country. Àwọn ni wọ́n jẹ́ kẹ́ máa jìyà lẹ́ni. And that's why they don't want you in their country. They only want people that they can make use of for the second slave trade. So let's go back to how Nigeria became a country, okay? So I've explained to you who the Europeans are. You now have idea about the 1884 Berlin Conference. So now if I read further, you will not be lost in the discussion. If you're new to the platform, just share the program. If you're not new and you're regular, you know what to do. Bring more people in so that they can come and learn about why Yoruba Nation is the solution, Igbo Kingdom is the solution, Hausa Kingdom, Iniri, whatever we are called, even though they were even changing our names. So let's go further because of my time. Before Europeans arrived in the territory that is now Nigeria, a number of different civilizations existed. Did you hear that? A number of different civilizations existed whose presence is still felt today. Yoruba have their own empire, which is called Oyo Empire, Benin Empire, Sokoto Caliphate, until everything was destroyed. They now call 36 states. Some of your states, they are as useless as tissue paper. They don't produce anything. Now Lagos, they feed them. Idiot all over the place. For example, in the north, which is the northern part of Nigeria, Islam was predominant. In the 19th century, there were two Islamic empires, the Sokoto Caliphate and the Borno Empire. I'm not sure there's anything called Sokoto Caliphate anymore. It's now called Fulani Caliphate because they've destroyed the Sokoto Caliphate, which were real Hausa people that were the true ownership of that territory. But since they allowed this Uchmanda Fodio, another criminal that came outside Nigeria and then decided to come into that territory, now wiped off all their own traditional rulers, kill every one of them, and ditch their own system of Fulanization. And today, you go to the north, you can now say that the Hausas are fighting back to retain their own true identity. Now, to the southwest laid numerous Yoruba city-states. Did you hear that? That is how we should have been called today, Awa Omo Yoruba. So rather than us staffing Nigerians, during that century, nobody knows anything about Nigeria. Nigeria was only created after 1914. But Omo Yoruba lè ní nísìn tá à ń ṣàlàyé fún pé ìran ọmọ Yorùbá ni wọ́n ní náà ẹ̀yin kan liberal nìyẹn ẹ̀yin kan conservative àwọn olóṣì. Instead of us to all come into one table and shut down Nigeria so that we can go back to be known as Yoruba people. This one, Adeyinka grandson go dey abuse Koikimedia. Koikimedia go dey abuse this one. We go dey fight each other, because that is the system that these criminal Europeans created. They have infiltrated us. They have now put some people, they give them penny, just like they sold us out anyway. I mean, imagine people were sold for, a mirror. I was at the Liverpool Museum some few years ago, and I could see shinap, gin, those gin where they take do traditional whatever. Those are some of the things when Igbo people gave our people. Say, I take gin, and our people saw it and wow, this one, how many slaves do you want? They say we need 50,000. I beg, take 100,000. And that's why they say when you get to the Badagry point of no return, you become a slave, and you saw how they manipulated things, how they change things, translate things that are not our own, tell us that our own tradition, na voodoo that they say our tradition. Yet their own tradition is not voodoo. They brought in Christianity, they brought in Islam, and they started diverting our true identity. But let's continue. So now we were told that in the southwest there were numerous Yoruba city-states that generally had in common animalist religion and were only sometimes united. Did you see the way they put it? Let's go and look at the meaning of an animalist. Because these people are bastard. They write things that if you read it and you believe they're nonsense, you will get lost. But now that we know that Professor Akintoye have explained a lot of things to us, we don't have to trust anything Oyinbo people write anymore because they're criminals. Let me try and find the meaning of this animalist, because all this big grammar, they hide it under fraudulent Google search. Where's my Google search? Okay, it's not. Let me go and look. Type it in. Animalist. What's the meaning of that? Animalism, the attribution of living soul to plants, inanimate object, and natural phenomena. Animalist is the belief that objects, places, and creatures are possessed a distinct spiritual essence. Animalist perceives all things animal, plant, rocks, river, weather system, human handwork. Okay. Do animalists believe in God? However, the difference is that animalists focus more on individual spirit from an animalistic perspective. Every being has a soul and is connected with the spirit world, unlike a pantheism. In animalism, everything does not exist as one spirit, namely God. Okay, then we have an idea what they're talking about, because all this Oyinbo sometimes they use it. So what they're saying is that Nile Yoruba, we are known as animalist religion, and we were only sometimes united. Look at the way they put it, as if England and Scottish people, they are united. Mukenuruddin. If you know the kind of fight where they did between the Scottish and the what's it called, the English, even the Irish were hate and when English big. Bá lọ sọ fún ọmọ Irish kan pé ṣe English nìyẹn ó lè ṣe jàǹbá fún ẹ, because the British English dealt with the Irish people. Until date, the Irish will never forgive the English people for the crime against humanity. We still have about another approximately, this program is just going to last 1 hour, so let's go quickly and dive into it. So now, to the southwest was also the Igbo kingdom, Inri, and a collection of semi-autonomous towns and villages in the Niger River Delta. Such regions were linguistically, religiously, and politically distinct. So now, what you should be asking yourself is, if all these were all separate entities before 1914, why is it proving difficult to go back to the way it was, so that kí gbogbo wa lọ manage ara wa, kí gbogbo wa lọ prefer to do things in the right way? Okay, gbogbo wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. Once again, a very good morning. I'm told it's raining in Lagos. It's been raining here as well in London. If you don't fight today to save yourself, now go suffer. Suffer go kill many of you before we get to where we are going. So it's better we all fight it together. Some of you will they stay behind. Say, nothing concern me with the Yoruba nation. Beg, leave me, Jare. Okay? The thing will go kill you. It is outside Nigeria. It's waiting for you. So let's continue. So now we also know that there was an Igbo kingdom. So imagine if Igbo kingdom was on its own before. All this fight, bigotry, hey, now we own Lagos, now we not own Lagos, Igbo build Lagos, Igbo not build Lagos. All this bigotry, fighting, killing each other, they take our land, they buy our land. It would not have happened if there was nothing called the 1914 amalgamation, and they go through this difficult that we are all going through right now. We could all have lived as different, autonomous, independent country, but because of the criminal colonial powers from the Portuguese in the 15th century, they came in, and the British did not arrive in that space until 18th century. Maybe some of you don't know. Nigeria was first kind of, when they say the people that came in the colonial, it was the Portuguese, but we're going to get there in a minute. So now, while other colonial powers, such as the Portuguese, became involved in the region by way of slave trade as early as the 15th century. Listen to that. Àwọn Portuguese ni wọ́n dé. Àwọn wá rí pé àwọn eléyìí èèyàn gidi mà ní wọ́n kẹ̀. Àwọn eléyìí àwọn èèyàn dáadáa ni wọ́n, àmọ́ a máa kó wọn lẹ́rú ni o. They saw our capability. They saw our intellectuals. They met things that they've never seen in their own space, in their own territory, in their own kingdom. These are explorers. Today, many of you want to come and explore UK, but you are restricted. But when these people came during that 15th century, nobody stopped them. We welcomed them, but we did not know that they are enemies, they are criminals. But today, some of you love Ronaldo so much. But when I tell you that Portuguese were part of the people that came and took us as slaves, maybe that would change your perspective. I say, hey, shut up, Koiki, shut up. Because some of you are mumu. Mumu. You love your slaves. You love them, your slave masters. So people like us now, we look at certain things and we just say, okay. And when we look at the way they've destroyed our history, do you know how many Yoruba people can play better than Ronaldo? I'm sure you know that. Do you know how many Biafrans that can play than Ronaldo? How many Arewa? How many other people within that, shit amalgamation join together, but because orí yóò pè ẹ lè process ẹ lè ronú. You know, look wetin Ronaldo dey play wey Okocha no play, wetin Ronaldo dey play wey Rashidi Yekini never play. But can you process all this? But they always want to make it look like, you know, àwọn aláwọ̀ funfun, they are the best, and whatever they do, they are better than us. But they know that they met us in a good way. They know how strong we are. They know how powerful we are, how intellectuals. But because some of our people want peanuts, they belori buruku, they want peanuts. All they want is just a small piece. We're talking about something that will unite us in the future, but they want us to be united with the Igbos we in our eight, with the Hausa we not like, probably maybe with the Fulani that will become your governor one day in the southwest, and maybe that will make your sense to come back. Or maybe because you are thinking Tinubu that doesn't have, you know, the balls to even manage Nigeria from Aso Rock. So let's continue anyway. While other colonial powers, such as the Portuguese, became involved in the region by the way of slave trade as early as the 15th century. Some of you don't know the meaning of 15th century. Imagine when they say they came in 15th century. Yoruba people have been living in that same space since 10th century, AD, 11th century, 13th century, 14th century, and that 15th century we thought we had, you know, visitors. We didn't know that these criminal visitors, Portuguese, were bastards that came in to destroy and take us as slaves. Mukiyawa Yabo Olubum Ekaroma Ekaro Akudaji. I'm just here, you know, reflecting, and I thought, why not also bring you all on board? This is not a full program. It's just to let you know that we sleep less, we think about the Yoruba people, whether you are Yoruba at home, Yoruba in Africa, whether you are Yoruba Christian, Yoruba Muslim, or Yoruba traditionalist. It is time we ask for the amalgamation of this British nonsense, jagbajantis, you know, unworkable country. So let's continue quickly because this program ends just in the next 13 minutes. It was not after the Portuguese came in 15th century, we thought that was the end of it all, until these British arrived in force. Did you hear that? So when some of you say, oh no, we are not going to fight, Koiki, we are not going to fight. When the British came, they came heavily with force. And this did not happen until 18th century. And you know what happened? The British and Portuguese started fighting each other. They're killing each other. Fighting. Fighting each other on something will not be their own. The Portuguese were there before British, but British with their own conny ways. Because some of you idiots don't know that British are conny people. They came in. I'm not the one that wrote this article. This is what the writer is saying. I am just elaborating and explaining it so that your head will be like coconut go open up. Wọ́n ní nígbà táwọn Gẹ̀ẹ́sì dé ní 18th century, wọ́n dé pẹ̀lú ìbọn, wọ́n dé pẹ̀lú agbára, wọ́n dé pẹ̀lú gbogbo tó fi ń ja ogun. So tí bàbá wa ń sọ nísìnyí pé Ọlọ́run jẹ́ ajá ogun, ọ̀dẹ̀ nìyẹn. The British came láti wá ja ogun ni. How did they smell that there's that part of the world that is working? Because they are spy. The British are spy. They have spy all over the world. So they must have sent people to walk around and say, the Portuguese are making money. They say, hey, from where? There be some people waiting for what they call your empire. They are strong. They are intellectual. They have their tradition. They have their culture. Even they can control things. They say, hey, but they say the Portuguese are there. British say, no worry. No worry, we go there. We go with all ammunition. We kill the Portuguese and we will take over. And that's exactly what has been playing out, you know, between the West. They started making use of Africa as their second home. Go and ask the people of Congo. I told you Botswana, the second largest diamond was found in Botswana. But Botswana does not have the full right to the diamond. They are only being paid 10%, 10% royalty. Imagine the people will get their land. A Canadian company will now be giving the country we own the land 10% royalty. Is that not the same thing that they've done in Ogun State? But stupid Yoruba people totally processing kankan àgbàlagbà. Kátẹ sọ pé èèyàn ọmọdé tó yẹ pé èèyàn ọmọ jjc èèyàn ọmọ 90 èèyàn ọmọ Indomie noodles. How can àgbàlagbà wey they don born since 1950 is still telling me that Nigeria go work? Ó yẹ ká fọ́gò mọ́ yín lórí ni ẹ̀yin bàbá òfò yẹn. Ó yẹ kẹ́ gbórí yín wá ká lágo mọ́ lórí. Because you know that Nigeria was a fake country. Bẹ́ẹ̀ wá tẹ̀ mọ́ àwọn ọmọ kéékèèké wá ń jáde ní sàn ṣàlàyé fún yín pé bàbá kò jẹ́ kó rí báyìí. All these bastard bàbá burúkú yẹn àtàwọn ìyá òfò, that tells you that Nigeria will work and they were born before independence. Ó yẹ ká lágo mọ́ yín lórí ká fún yín ní poison kẹ́ kú dànù. Ó yẹ ká poison gbogbo yín kẹ́ kú dànù ká wá ṣe mass burial ká fi bury gbogbo yín. Because ẹ̀yin lẹ kó wá sínú problem yìí. Because ẹ̀yin ò lè sọ̀rọ̀ nígbà tó yẹ ká ẹ sọ̀rọ̀. Àwa kan tó wá dìde nísìnyí pé ìbọn là ń kà yìí, òun ni mo ṣe ń kà yìí. The British arrived in force. Do you know the meaning of force? F-O-R-C-E. Wọ́n dé pẹ̀lú ogun. Ogun ni British olórí burúkú fi dé níjọ́ yẹn náà ní 18th century. Àwọn bàbá òfò kan náà ló tà wá dànù nígbà yẹn. Àwọn bàbá òfò, àwọn bí Olúwo, àwọn òṣì, àwọn wèrè. Kò ń ṣe àwọn ọba gidi o. Ọba kan pè mí lánàá. I won't give you the state and I'm not going to give you the name. How they find my number, I don't know, but my number is the public. They were praying. They were happy. They didn't want to know anything than just to pray for us that Ọlọ́run túbọ̀ máa fi ṣọ́ ẹ̀ṣọ́ wa and we will get what we want. So mo kí yín kábíyèsí tẹ́ bá ti ń gbọ́ mi ní àárọ̀ nígbàkigbà tẹ́ bá gbọ́ program mi. Wọ́n wò mí. He sent a message and I gave him a call back and we spoke. And that's all I can tell you. Don't have to give any details. But one now alale amatiwaleyin. And what they say is ká má give up. Ká má dẹ̀ fi anything sílẹ̀ untouchable. Gbogbo tá bá fẹ́ ṣe a ní láti sọ síta. Inú ni ọ̀rọ̀ wà. Ìta máa ṣe inú wa ló wà. But ẹ bá rò pé ìbá bọ́ òfò kan tí ẹ ń lọ sí church at 60 years old, 67, 30 pé 70. Tẹ lọ ń pray fún Nàìjíríà. Gbogbo yín pátá a máa poison yín ní kẹ́ kú dànù. Torí ẹ ní láti wà láyé mọ́. Wọ́n nígbà táwọn Gẹ̀ẹ́sì olórí burúkú dé ní 18th century. Ogun ló fi kóòdù wọlé ogun. Ẹ̀yin bàbá òfò, ẹ̀yin bàbá ìkà, ẹ̀yin bàbá jẹgúrú jẹrá, ẹ̀yin bàbá táwọn ọmọ yín pariwo pé a ti wà nínú ewu. Ẹni ká gbẹnu sàn, ẹni ká dákẹ́. Ẹbí nǹkan tẹ́ ń sọ fún wa nìyẹn. Mo kí ẹ láre lámìnà. Ẹ̀yin bàbá tó yẹ ká poison gbogbo yín kẹ́ kú dànù. Torí kí lẹ̀ ń ṣe láyé? Ẹ ṣì ń bẹ̀rù at 70 years old. Ẹ̀yin ò fẹ́ kú ní 70. But àwọn ọmọ kéékèèké tó ń kú ọ̀wọ̀ọ̀wọ̀. Ọmọ 20 years old ó ń kú ọ̀wọ̀ọ̀wọ̀. Ọmọ 20 ti ní kidney nígbà tó yẹ pé fake product lẹ́ ń consume lójoojúmọ́. Ẹ túbọ̀ máa mú gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ kókó yín máa le. In tó máa pa gbogbo yín dànù nìyẹn. Because that's the only thing that is selling in Nigeria so far. In tó máa jẹ́ kókó le. Just ṣé sex nìkan la máa ṣe lójoojúmọ́? Every platform you go, sex. We cannot think and process about how we're going to send things to the space, how we're going to make life better for the people. You go to Instagram, you go to TikTok, sex. They've destroyed morals. No morals again in that southwest. Every product on Tanisin, Cubana, Obi Cubana, Prince Cubana, àti Davido, how they will sell ọ̀pẹ̀yìn, alcohol, consume alcohol, and drugs. That's the only thing that is selling in Nigeria today, especially in Yoruba. Now you can see Yoruba people. Nígbà tó bá ti mu alcohol, mo wo àròlé tẹ́ǹtẹ̀ lánàá. How can a Yoruba man be selling the head, human head, for 4,000 naira? Èló ni 4,000 naira ní London lẹ́ni nísìn? That's £2. So that means pé you are ready to kill somebody like us for £2. Bomb bastard. That's why the shemanika wá sílé. Mo sọ fún yín pé ritualist àwa la nìyẹn lọ́wọ́. Tá bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ drugs, fake product, àwọn Igbo ló nìyẹn lọ́wọ́. Tá bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ká wà ní military, ká jalè, àwọn Haúsá nìyẹn. That's the kind of country tẹ́ fẹ́ ká wà, ẹ̀yin olóṣì. Kí lẹ fẹ́ fojú mi ṣe? Asking you, you don't see my face, you don't see my face. Ṣojoojúmọ́ lẹ gbọ́dọ̀ máa rójú wa ni. Ẹjọ́ torí Ọlọ́run ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Ṣẹ́yìn níná ni. Ẹni náà tẹ́ fi ń wò mí ni. Àwọn kan wà nísìn lórí mixlr. They don't need to see my face. They hear my voice. They don't see my face. Lẹ fẹ́ fojú mi ṣe. Ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ ní kẹ́ gbọ́. Ojú mi ẹ fún mi lówó fojú mi ni. A máa sọ̀rọ̀. Instead kẹ́ farabalẹ̀ kẹ́ tẹ́tí kẹ́ gbọ́rọ̀ tá à ń sọ. Ẹ sọ pé ẹ rojú mi. Mo tẹ́ fẹ́ fojú yàn ṣe. À ń ṣàlàyé nǹkan ẹ máa ìyí tí ẹ kàn ṣàlàyé ẹ comment lórí ẹ. We can't see your face. Ẹ máa wọ́jú mi káàkiri. So let's continue. It was not until 1886 that the formerly century, no. So the British arrived in 18th century. We are currently at the 21st century. But 18th century lẹ́yìn àwọn olóṣì British dé, àwọn wèrè, àwọn tó kó wa sínú ìdààmú yìí. Ọlọ́run kò yọ wá nú ẹ̀. But it was not until 1861, ṣé ń gbọ́, that they formally occupied their first Nigerian territory known as Lagos in a bid to protect Christian converts and the trading interest and to further their anti-slavery campaign. 3 things is mentioned in that small write-up. I can break it down. Wọ́n nígbà táwọn British dé ní 18th century, àwọn náà wá occupy ibì kan tó ń pè ní Lagos. Ṣáwa náà lè occupy gbogbo south east, ká lé gbogbo òyìnbó tó wà níbẹ̀ lọ, ká wá sọ pé nísìnyí o, we have turned this place to Yoruba city. Is it possible? Because the idiot that we are taking to, àwọn diaspora, you cannot own this country even if you have British passport. You don't own this country, okay? You don't own the territory. Your territory is in Yoruba land, where ìran yín ti wá. That is your roots. So let's go further because of my time. Time not a lot. Now, there's what I call the trading interest. If you think that the British care about you and me, they don't care. They are more interested in the trading interest. Kara, kata, kaji, kagbe. And that is why they did not develop Yoruba land. They did not develop Nigeria. All they did was they were moving from Enugu, the coal, straight into the port. They were moving palm kernel, this Bugbunton need, because the British, as at the time, were also building their industry, their industry. So they needed many raw materials to be shipped out of Nigeria and taken to Europe for their own, In 1884, the British occupied what will later become the Southern Protectorate. Imagine that it took them from 1861, 62, 63, 64. It took them some few years after 30 days to settle down in Lagos, and they started expanding their empire network out of Lagos. They are now, we are told that by 1884, which is almost the same time they were doing the Berlin Conference, all these criminal, Onyibo people. In 1884, the British now occupy what will later become the Southern Protectorate. and the Northern Protectorate, piecemeal from the 1900 to 1903. So what I'm explaining in that particular write-up is that kò ń ṣe pé wọ́n kọ̀ occupy it. They were blood shield. They were, they infiltrated our people. They told lies to different people. And that's what the British are good at. Because during the negotiation of Nigeria, what they were telling the Yorubas was different from what they were telling the Igbos. What they were telling the Igbos is different from what they were telling the Hausas or the Northerners. Because the Fulanis were also, part of Nigeria in 18th century. So the British loved the Fulanis. So they were working more with the Fulanis against the three of us, the Hausa, the Yoruba, the Igbo. So imagine the British were given more access to people who will not be part of us. But the stupid Yoruba man think because Tinubu is in power, Tinubu that is only going to be there for a very limited time. So let's move swiftly because I'm already 1 hour to the program, and this program should not have been 1 hour. We might come back later and complete it. So just to wrap it up quickly, in 1884, the British occupied what would later become the Southern Protectorate and the Northern Protectorate piecemeal from 1900 to 1903. By 1903, the British controlled the territory that comprises modern-day Nigeria, but as 3 separate administrative blocks. This is where things started changing. After they came in 1886 in Lagos, they started expanding their network. Expanding. This place is sweet, this place get honey. This place is nice. They started expanding their. Anytime I on Instagram, Koikimedia is gonna go. I'm gonna come back because it's 1 hour already on that Instagram. The British started expanding. To some money, benefit also. The British started expanding. They were expanding. And that expansion means that by 1903, the people who came in 18 something, by 1903 or more, British ti gbalẹ̀ o. Wọ́n ti jagun gbalẹ̀ gidi. Àwọn ọ̀dẹ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá wọn sọ fún mi nísìnyí pé káwa náà ká má jà láti gbalẹ̀ wa padà. Ṣé ọ̀dẹ̀ lẹ́yìn ni? Ṣé òmùgọ̀ ni wá ni? Ṣé ọ̀fọ́rí wa fágbọ́n ni? Ṣé stupid people la wá ni? British tó dé ní 1886, 1861. Nígbà tó máa fi di 1903, gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìtàn tá ń ká yìí, wọ́n ní British wọ́n ti control gbogbo territory. Ṣó rò pé wọ́n lọ ń pe Jésù lọ fi gba territory yẹn ni? Ṣó rò pé ànábì lọ ń pè ní? Ṣó rò pé no, wọ́n pa àwọn èèyàn ní, wọ́n manipulate ra wa síra wa. Àwa tí aláìkọ̀wé lè ní nísìn ara tí British ṣe nìyẹn. Because tó bá ti fẹ́ràn owó jù, tó bá ti fẹ́ràn owó, ó máa ta ìran ẹni. Ìyẹn ni a ṣe ń struggle nínú movement tèmi, because àwọn olórí burúkú kan wọ́n ti like owó jù. So àwa like owó tá à ń sọ pé yes, I need owó láti fi ṣe so many things, but there àwọn èèyàn máa ní I need owó. Ṣé nígbà tí British ń control, ṣe rò pé wọ́n rí owó fi ṣe nǹkan ni? Wọ́n rówó. Ibo ló ti ń rówó? Látara resources tiwa tó ń jí. Ṣé rò pé tèmi náà bá ní access sí crude oil ní Ondo State, a fi fund the movement yìí, a dẹ̀ fi jà? But nígbà tá a ní access sí, because a ní access sí resources wa. Ṣé tí wáyé pé mo ní access sí ibi tí Ọ̀ṣun gold wà, bí àwọn Chinese ṣe ń gbọ́n mu. Ṣé fi pé àní ta gold yẹn ká fi make owó? Èyí tá à ń wá sórí social media, a máa tọrọ £1, tọrọ £2. Ẹ jẹ́ kó fún mi níbi kan tèmi náà máa rí gold wà, tá a dẹ̀ rí gold yẹn ta. Ara gbogbo ta ní ìta máa fi oyè yín. But nígbà tá a rí yẹn ṣe, ara wa láti máa dá owó tá a máa fi bára wa kúrò nínú ìdààmú tá a wà nínú ẹ̀. But púpọ̀ náà àwọn èèyàn ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ò yé wọn. Wọ́n ní ìdè owó, ilẹ̀ fífẹ́ owó ṣe. British tí wọ́n ní wọ́n wà sí agbègbè wa ní 1886 nígbà tó máa fi di 1903 because wọ́n ti rí nǹkan àmúlùmúlù oríṣiríṣi in tí ó wà lórí ilẹ̀ wa wọ́n ti extracted wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń tà because number one wọ́n wà níbi tó mi wà because Lagos as at the time and títí di wákàtí is full of water so ó easy fún wọn láti gbé irinṣẹ́ wọlé láti gbé irinṣẹ́ jáde láti gbé nǹkan jáde láti gbé nǹkan wọlé and they started bí wọn bá kí lẹ rò pé Dangote fi lówó ṣebí monopoly ni kí lẹ rò pé Ọ̀tẹ̀dọ́lá fi lówó monopoly ni Tony Lemelu gbogbo wọn criminal so tó bá dẹ̀ ti wà they will expand quickly and they will suppress and subjugate the rest of the people. That was what the British did. Britain wọ́n mọ̀ pé nígbà táwọn ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí rí nǹkan jí ní orí ilẹ̀ wa wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí expand. Wọ́n nígbà tó máa fi di 1903 which is 11 years before the amalgamation wọ́n ti occupy gbogbo ibi tó ń pè Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n ti lé Portuguese lọ́wọ́ ti pa wọ́n pé ẹ̀yin kẹ́ ẹ̀ ní kúure. Àwa la máa jókòó sí bíbá. Kò wá ń ṣe bọ́ ṣe ń ṣe lọ́dọ̀ wa nìkan bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ń ṣe ní India wọ́n ń ṣe ní Ghana. I mean they were expanding their empire. Owó dẹ̀ nìyẹn fi ń expand ẹ̀yin ọ̀dẹ̀ kò ń ṣẹ̀yìn yan tèmi gangan ni mo ń pè lọ́dẹ̀ àwọn wèrè tó máa question nǹkan tá à ń ṣe. Ẹ fẹ́ kúrò ní Nàìjíríà ẹ fẹ́ náwó ẹnu ẹni gbogbo àjọ wa yẹn ẹnu ẹni gbogbo àjọ wa ẹnu ẹni gbogbo àjọ wa àwọn fi owó wọ́n fi expand àwọn sọ nísìnyí pé àfẹ́fowó expand a ní ká ṣe flag ká ṣe flyer ká ṣe sticker ká ṣe fìlà ká ṣe t-shirt ká print leaflet ẹni àfẹ́ṣe yẹn so àdẹ̀fẹ́ kúrò ní Nàìjíríà ká máa pariwo Yorùbá nation lórí social media nìkan ẹnu ẹni gbogbo àjọ wa yẹn ẹni máa kó ẹni máa yẹ ni òun lọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ so it's as simple as that. British gan owó ni wọ́n fi control gbogbo ibi tó ń pè Nàìjíríà wọ́n ní àwọn èèyàn dé ní 1886 ẹ calculate how many years let me go to my calculator mo ń bọ̀ let me go to my calculator ká lọ ṣe kankan so now 1903 minus 1861 do you know how many years is that? That means it took the British 42 years to fully occupy what is known as Nigeria. 42 years. Òmùgọ̀ kan wá sọ pé Yorùbá nation ti pẹ́ ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ̀ lówó lọ́wọ́ ṣé mọ̀ pé owó làwọn fi ṣe Yorùbá nation ẹlòmíì ò tẹ̀ mọ́ tá à ń jà torí ẹ̀gàn sef lọ́kọ̀ ṣáájú pàtẹ́ẹ̀dẹ́ làkàyè British will take 42 years láti establish trenches wọn agbára wọn lórí ibi tó ń pè Nàìjíríà èmi dẹ̀kọ́ mọ́kọ́ article yìí was 2018 42 years èmi gan nísìnyí mo ti pé 40 plus that means pé 42 years ní British colony ló ti fi establish láti fi control gbogbo Nàìjíríà wọ́n wá ṣe yẹn tán èèyàn tó wá tẹ́ wọn lọ́rùn ẹ mọ̀ pé tó bá tẹ̀ pé wọ́n ṣe gbogbo yẹn wọ́n fi wá sílẹ̀ bó ṣe bá wa it will have been the best thing ẹ wá mọ̀ tó ṣe nígbà tó wá di 1914 11 years after tó ti establish tó ti control wọ́n tún wá lọ sọ wá sí Nàìjíríà ọmọ àlè Yorùbá kan wá sọ fún mi pé ká keep Nàìjíríà but wọ́n understand nǹkan tá à ń sọ ọ̀dẹ̀. Let's go back again. In 1884, the British occupied what would later become the Southern Protectorate and the Northern Protectorate piecemeal from 1900 to 1903. By 1903, the British controlled the territory that comprises the modern-day Nigeria, but has 3 separate administrative blocks. Do you know what administrative is? Ilé-iṣẹ́, Ọ̀yá the southeastern part of Nigeria was one administrative block. The southwest part of Nigeria, tó ń pè nílẹ̀ Yorùbá dé ọ̀dọ̀ tiwa, was one administrative block. The northern part was also one administrative block. But out of the three, àwọn olóṣì north, they were not making money for the British. This is where Yoruba decided to join it together. Tó bá ti gbọ́ tán rí tẹ́lẹ̀ òun ló gbọ́ lẹ́sìn. 3 administrative block. 1, 2, 3. Mẹ́ta. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ní mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta yẹn, southwest lọ́dọ̀ tiwa nìkan ló ń pawó jù fún wọn. Ilẹ̀ Yíbò gan pawó fún wọn. The north was the lost. Wọ́n kàn lose owó ni. And at the end of the day, they now decided that ó dà pé àwọn northerners àwọn ilé òní fún wa lówó. Lugard bá decide ó dà kàkà kí àwọn máa sponsor north, àwọn ṣe kúkú merge together. That is the formation of Nigeria. So if something was not what it was, kó tó di pé British dé, why then should we be one? So and ẹ̀wá ní ẹ̀ńjà, Hausa ń bá Yorùbá jà, Yorùbá ń bá Igbo jà, Igbo ń bá Hausa jà, ẹ̀wá ni wọ́n para wọn after the independence. Agurose destroy Keniko. Stupid people. Instead of us to be going back to the root of the problem, because this is where the root of the problem is. This 1903, when the British took over the whole of Nigeria and turned it to 3 administrative blocks. Eléèlú ẹ̀ka máa bèrè question lé lórí. Àwọn èèyàn máa sọ fún mi pé Agurose destroy the regional government. Everything concern us with Agurose. Why did the British not leave it as they met it? They came in the 18th century. They met us. We were good people, separate people. Igbo wà láyé ọ̀tọ̀ tiẹ̀, Yorùbá wà láyé ọ̀tọ̀ tiẹ̀, olúkálùkù wà láyé ọ̀tọ̀ tiẹ̀. Kí ló dé tí wọ́n fi wá sílẹ̀ bá ṣe wà? Kí ló dé tí wọ́n fi wá sílẹ̀ bá ṣe wà? Olúkálùkù máa gbégbé ayé ẹ̀. Irọ́ o. They don't want that. Now, àwa ti wà níbi tí àwọn jẹgúrújẹrá olè politician, àwọn náà ti wá di olówó nínú corrupt British created country. Tàbá béèrè pé iṣẹ́ wo ló ń ṣe, any politics, níbo ló ti rówó? Kò dá iléeṣẹ́ sílẹ̀. Oil rig. Ẹ̀wọ̀n sọ́ọ̀kì oil rig. Ẹ̀gbẹ́po gbé lọ sí Malta, a country of 500,000. Kò pé 1 million. Malta ò pé 1 million. Àwọn Tinubu kàbá olè agbépo sínú táǹkà wá lọ sí Malta níbi tó ti máa refine. Dangote wá ní ní kúure, ẹ gbowó lọ́wọ́ mi, ẹ fún mi ní crude oil. And this has been going on like that. But because ọmọ Yorùbá ò lè process nǹkankan, we can't process anything. And that's the reason why we are where we are today. So anyway, ẹ jẹ́ ká end the program yìí. Àmọ́ pàdé later. Là kó wa yọ. Bó bá wọn kò gbọ́, bó bá wọn kò má gbọ́. Ìyà máa jẹ gbogbo wa ni. So when the right time comes, we will all demand for our rights. And rí jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, èmi náà pè náà OLAYOMI KOIKI. Brother mi jẹ́ ìsáré ka comment yìí. Ayomi Kundamijo ni. They say the Hausas are the most populated tribe in Nigeria today. But when they identify them, they will say Hausa Fulani. And some Yoruba are still supporting one Nigeria. What a joke. Thanks so much. Moki Ifani Mole Aye. So, Baba mi Moa Oludare JP Eshegoni, Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi, Daddy mi. Moki gbogbo wa. Ẹ ká end bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ mo fẹ́ kó pẹ́ ju 1 hour lọ. Moki gbogbo wa. Àṣeyọrí la máa ṣe. A máa ṣàlàyé náà ni. Àlàyé lọ́rọ̀. Ẹni tó bá fi yé kó yé. Sparklism moki ẹ. Silent listeners moki yín. Have a very good morning. Bye for now. Thank you so much everyone on the Facebook. Mo kí gbogbo yín. A pàdé later again. Good morning.